This is something that we should point out is you're a real frontiersman. Like when the zombie apocalypse comes, you'll survive and I won't. Like this is very clear. Oh, no. This is very clear. Hey, Steve.
Hi, Greg. How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing good.
That was really a hell of a setup before the phone call.
Yeah, you got me good.
I got you good. All right. How's it going? How's your day?
It's going pretty good. It was a busy day, but made it through it, and I'm ready for this.
Are you? You pumped?
Yeah. Well, it's one of those, who knows what's going to happen.
Well, your track record is not great on predicting whether it's going to be a good episode or bad episode.
That's true.
Yeah. So if you have an ill feeling or something in your stomach, maybe that's a good sign.
Yeah. I'm definitely not. It's not predictive of anything, I don't think.
I mean, we're hot off a pretty good episode. Lots of feedback on Golden Eagles.
We did. I think I was vindicated a little bit by one of our fans.
Yeah, you did. You got a little fan mail that tried to really side with you on American bald eagles.
Well, he just was sending an article for information purposes. Golden Eagle Bob sent us a link to a Seattle Times article about some new landfill, and they have to come up with a bird plan because their current landfill has hundreds of bald eagles eating trash and dumping stuff.
What happened to these things being endangered and everyone worried? And now they're pests? Like rats in New York? Just no one wants them anymore?
Yeah, pretty much.
When did that happen? I just distinctly remember as a kid, there was a big effort to save these guys.
You're not a kid anymore, Greg.
Listen, I'm the ripe old age of 23. Don't I sound it?
Yes.
All right. So as we start every episode, what you drinking?
Tonight, I am finally back to a classic, Miller Lite, hoping we're getting them back on our side.
Yeah. You know what?
Nice.
I went with Miller Lite as well. And it was distinctly that decision where I was like, you know what? I love these guys. I don't want to be too mad, but we got fans in the audience again?
I'm just trying to get a light turned on.
Oh, cool. But yeah, I don't want to, you have to learn to neg them just enough, as the kids say.
Yeah.
Oh, that's way better. I could see your lovely face now.
Thanks, man. Well, It's kind of funny because Montucky Cold Snacks just liked our tweet today. And I think they listened before they did because we now have a Montana listener.
Stop it. Stop it. That's great. All right.
So we'll pressure on light.
All right. Let's get back into this. Our fans seem to like that, huh?
They joined in.
All right. I know this is everyone's favorite part is hearing us pour the beers into glasses. All right. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, Greg.
It's good to be home. It's good to be home with a Miller Lite. I got to say, it was warm here today in Northern California.
Yeah. What do you get, 95?
Yeah. So it's actually perfect. It's not too warm. You still do stuff and not be crazy.
Right. So, not 105.
No, that gets a little rough. Even at 105 here is better than 105 in most places, but still.
Sure.
All right. Well, I don't see any reason to stop. What are we talking about today?
So as you know, our theme is gold and golden this season for summer 2020. And we're going to go away from birds today, and we're going to talk about the Dorado, or as you might know it, the mahi.
I love it. I didn't even think of you mixing it up and going away from birds.
Huh.
Didn't even occur to me.
It's been a long time.
Season 2, episode 3. And if people are just tuning in, season 2, we're in summer and the golden hour of summer. So I love this. All right. Well, it's appropriate.
Yeah.
Stepping away from the birds for a little bit.
Yeah. Got to get a couple in. I mean, we're nature and stuff, not just birds.
No, I know. The name really leads people to believe that, there's I hope our Montana listeners not tuning out at this point. Maybe we should hashtag Montucky Cold Snack again, just in case.
Yeah.
Do you think they're coming in through Twitter?
Yeah, this was from Twitter. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Without further ado, why did you pick the Dorado mahi?
Well, I mean, the name Dorado, that's gold. So that fit in with our theme really well. And we actually had a chance, Alicia caught one of these when we were in Mexico a few years back. And they're a beautiful fish. And so I started reading about them, and they're really interesting. And I think we can make a good show out of them today.
All right. So as we start, describe this guy to me. Paint the picture for our audience, and take your time. Don't rush through it. Yeah.
This is one of the things I need to work on a little bit, huh?
Well, I think we both do. I think we both need, we're getting feedback that people like our 40-minute up. I think 40 minutes is our sweet spot. Sometimes it feels like we're stretching that thing, but
Yeah.
It's good.
So the mahi, a typical full-grown specimen is going to be maybe 1 meter long and 15 kilograms or so, right around 30 pounds. That's a really nice size Dorado.
All right. Well, before we get off that, what is that in Miller Lites?
So a 30-pound Dorado is about 40 Miller Lites. But get this, so they can get to 80 plus pounds very rarely, and an 80 pounder you're talking 106 Miller Lites.
So it's a Greg and Steve weekend.
Part of a weekend, yeah. Maybe a 2-day weekend.
Yeah, it's a 2-day weekend, and then if we stay a third day, then we have to go to the store and get some.
Just to get a little extra 30 pack or something.
Yeah, I like it. All right.
So pretty good sized fish we're talking about, and they're amazingly colorful. They're really beautiful. So if you can picture this 3-foot fish, and they have all kinds of hues of metallic blue and metallic green, and it fades down to gold. So they're typically kind of blue at the top and dorsal fin, and then it kind of transitions into this really pretty metallic green color, and then goes down to this just really beautiful yellow color, and then speckled throughout. Oftentimes they have spots, and oftentimes those spots are also blue, which it makes for a really colorful and beautiful fish.
So beautiful you just want to eat it.
Yes, and delicious. So
beautiful you just want to kill it.
Very delicious fish. We'll get to that later, Greg. And but then they're a really strange shape too for a fish. They're a really fast fish, so their body's dorsally flattened, so they're really flat, from side to side to be able to just shoot through the water. So their head, they have from their mouth at the bottom, their head goes straight up for quite a ways, and so they have not so much a forehead, but they have a big 5 head that sticks up above their mouth. And the males, their head is even bigger than the females. You can tell them apart pretty apparently. And then they have their dorsal fin goes from the top of their head all the way back to their tail. So it's not just like a shark's dorsal fin or what you think of as a normal fish's dorsal fin, but it stretches almost the entire length of their body. And then it narrows down to a really narrow caudal peduncle, or the little spot where their tail attaches. And then they have a big forked tail. So a super deep forked tail, and just a really unique looking fish. And you're not going to mistake it for anything else.
Where do we find these guys?
So they're pretty much worldwide, circumglobal, except they're in subtropical and tropical water. So they need kind of warmer water, but you'll find them, all around the globe. So, Hawaii, Mexico, off the coast of Texas and southern United States, Africa, India, off the coast of Japan. They just need those warmer waters, and they're pretty much around the globe as long as the ocean waters are warm enough.
Wow. So many questions coming off of there. I think I'm going to save the names because I'm sure they go by other things, but what are they? It's pretty big, 3 feet long, 1 meter long. Are they intimidating looking? Are they scary looking? Or are they just cool looking?
They're more just cool looking. I wouldn't call them intimidating looking at all, but they are highly predatory. They eat other fish and crabs and squid, and it's not like they're docile grazing fish. You know, when I talked about their body being flat and they're very fast, then they're really good predators. In fact, they can swim super fast. They can go about over 50 miles an hour when they're chasing other fish. So they are formidable predators, but they look more like they look kind of like, I guess, like the Homer Simpson of the predator fish. that big forehead they have, they kind of look goofy. But except for their colors, they're so pretty.
What are we talking in lifespan? Are these things stay around a while?
They're actually pretty short-lived. Most of them don't live past 4 years old, occasionally 5 years old, but they grow really fast. They breed a ton, but they don't live very long. So that's one of the reasons I was going to talk about a little later, but they're a really good choice for a lot of people. Unless you're a vegetarian, you're going to get your protein from some sort of animal, and they're a really good choice in general for seafood. They're a sustainable seafood.
Yeah, so it sounds much more sustainable than some other ones for that, because they turn it around. Are they farmed as well, or are they always wild caught?
I think at this point they're always wild caught, but they have been doing some research on rearing them from the larval stage, and it seems like that maybe at some point they will be farmed, and they are becoming more of an important food fish. So it wouldn't surprise me if someday they are farmed, but I don't believe they are currently.
I did some work with caviar and sturgeons and got to learn a little bit about that and that farming and that system and stuff, which I thought was amazing. I thought it was incredible, and we have to eat as humans. We don't all have to eat caviar, but what is your take on farming and sustainability in that way?
I think some of it is good and some of it's bad. You know, I don't think you can just have a blanket statement for any of it. Everything that we do as humans, and especially growing food and everything, has environmental costs, and I think you can definitely farm many types of fish sustainably. Yeah. And without too much risk, but there is some risk. You can have, farmed fish and genetics escape and get into and contaminate wild populations and things like that. And like a lot of that sturgeon farming can be pretty water intensive and things like that. But, there's always trade-offs in what we do. Yeah. Definitely for sturgeon farming, it's probably a better alternative than removing these 100-year-old fish from their native habitats to harvest the eggs and meat. Yeah,
you don't want the Loch Ness monster just floating in it.
No, yeah, you just need
any loch. Yeah, any lake. Okay, what about you talked about you can find them all over the world pretty much. I mean, with tropical warmer water temperatures. What about the habitat? Do they create some sort of habitat to live in, or are they just kind of going out there?
So they're typically found quite a ways offshore. They're what they would call a pelagic species. They're not really associated with reefs and things like that you think of a lot of fish that are, but they are associated pretty highly with these sargassum mats. So sargassum is it's like a brown algae that is pretty common in tropical waters, and anywhere, of course, you have big plant communities in the ocean. You're going to have, primary consumers that are eating the plants, and then secondary consumers that are eating those, and then anywhere you have those prey species, these Dorado are not going to be too far behind, and they're typically highly associated with those. The only other interesting kind of habitat thing about them that I found is, like, a lot of times they're associated with, like, if there's anything floating on the surface, like if it's a 5-gallon bucket lid or a piece of plywood, they often like to hang out around any kind of floating debris, whether it's sargassum or something else.
And any idea why?
No, I mean, I don't think they're really using it for cover or to ambush prey or anything like that. So
they just make a new friend.
Yeah.
They just see something float, a whoopee. They need a little whoopee. It's like their security blanket.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Why not?
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, this gets really, we talk about mating rituals, but is there anything unique about their mating habit?
So they're a broadcast spawner. Let me back up a little bit. Probably one of the most unique things about them is for a fish that gets this big. Typically, large fish don't reach sexual maturity until they're fairly big and full grown. But Dorado can reach sexual maturity at like 4 to 5 months before they're even a year old. They're only like, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 inches long. So what's that, 25 centimeters long? And that's when they start breeding, and they breed multiple times in a year. They're, since they're in tropical waters, there's not really a lot of seasonal variation. So they think that probably whenever the food sources are rich and they're getting enough calories, then they can just keep breeding. And they're broadcast spawners. So the female typically, releases her eggs, and then there may be one or more males that try to fertilize those eggs after they're released. And they're very prolific. That's another reason that they're a good sustainable choice. So they'll breed maybe 2 to 3, 4 times a year. And at each breeding, the female will release anywhere from 80,000 to 1 million eggs per spawn. So, wow. If, I don't know what the percentages are and what the fraction gets fertilized and everything like that, but if even a small fraction of those, right, make it to 4 to 5 months old, then you're going to have a decent return on investment.
So is our studio audience like slaughtering a chicken in there or something, or setting off fireworks? Like, what's going on over there?
It is close to 4th of July. It's pretty rude.
I mean, making ribs. Like, I'm just trying to guess what could possibly be going on over there.
Only wish there was going to be ribs at the end of this.
Oh, okay. I was just checking. Our audience is really getting a treat.
Yeah.
So you beat me to it, because frequent listeners know we often talk about clutch size for the bird. So when we get into 1 million eggs and potential new guys out there, when you talk about sustainability, that seems to make a lot of sense at that point. Then, are they evasive? Are they taking out other people because there's so many of them in that way?
No, I don't think so. From everything that I've read, they seem to be doing pretty well from a population standpoint. And I don't think there's probably enough of them to impact their prey populations. But they are probably, their population probably raises and lowers depending on the conditions of their prey populations in the ocean. But for such a wide-ranging species, if the conditions aren't good in one part of the ocean, they can be good somewhere else. And they do move around quite a bit. It's really tough to do migration studies on fish in the ocean and things like that, as you can imagine, with just the sheer size and everything like that. But some of the new satellite tracking things, these fish are typically fairly shallow. So a lot of times you can use satellite tracking on them, even in the water. And they do move around quite a bit. So I think they can kind of respond to good conditions or poor conditions and move on if they need to.
What did I not ask?
Well, we talked about their distribution, but just to kind of put a number to it, their core range encompasses about 30% of the world's oceans. So, wow. and then in extended range, when conditions like warm waters and currents permit them to move elsewhere, that can go up to 40%. And they're one of the species that we always hear about impacts of climate change and things like that. It's possible that this species could benefit to some degree by warming oceans.
Oh, got it. Because they could start moving north and far south to the equator, or to the poles.
Yeah. And that's also, pending that the entire ocean ecosystem doesn't collapse before we get to that point. So.
Right. Life will find a way. This is what I learned from Jurassic. Where did we learn that from? Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park.
And life will find a way. Yeah. I mean, this is like, okay, let's get to the naming, because you already gave us 2 names with Dorado and Mahi Mahi. I know it by Mahi Mahi. I didn't know it by Dorado.
So you probably know some of the other names. So Mahi Mahi, just to educate some of our viewers that may not know.
I'm going to go Hawaiian. Polynesian. Sounds very Polynesian.
Yeah. And it means very strong. And
Mahi.
so obviously it's strong, but by combining them like that, it turns into very strong.
That's like when I taste something I like.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you combine them, it really emphasizes
Good.
that. Yeah.
Good means very good. Num means very numb. And so it's funny because I learned this fish as the dolphin, and when I was a kid, and when people were talking about mahi and Dorado, I had no idea they were the same fish for years and years. But they actually,
I think that's what my grandfather called them, dolphin fish.
Yeah. Well, so they, even before they called them dolphin fish, they were just called dolphin sometimes.
Oh, okay.
To avoid confusion, they did change it to, it kind of became popular to call them common dolphin fish.
Yeah.
And I didn't really find a good answer for why they are called that in the first place. But the only thing that kind of made sense is they do make some high pitched noises to communicate with each other. I'm not sure what they're saying, but so that could be, the etymological roots of calling them dolphin, but I'm not sure.
So do they breach? Do they come out of the water in that way? That wouldn't make sense, right?
Yeah, they don't really have any other characteristics I think that they have in common with dolphins that would give them that name. So, unless it's that, I'm not sure what else it is.
Cool.
They're often found in pretty large schools, especially the smaller ones. Like if you find some smaller ones, there's probably many more around.
Like how big's the school? Lay it on me.
Up to probably more than 50 in a school at sometimes, probably I think the bigger fish are typically, while not necessarily solitary, they're probably in smaller groups, but when they're still in their first year or two, they're in much larger groups.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
50 or more sometimes.
Right on. What else? What you got? Any more before we wrap this guy up?
I think we're ready, but the only other thing I talked about them growing quickly. To get to 8 inches in 4 to 5 months to their first breeding age. So they have done some studies on their growth rates, and they typically grow under good conditions anywhere from 3.5 to 4 millimeters every day.
Wow.
So that's how these fish get to, become 100 pack of Miller Lite after 4 or 5 years. I mean, they're just eating a lot and growing.
Yeah.
And,
what are they eating again? Did I miss that part?
No, I mean, they eat pretty much anything you find out in the open ocean like that. They'll eat fish, flying fish, crabs, squid.
You did say the crab thing. I find the crab thing interesting. How are they munching on a crab?
Yeah, that didn't make a ton of sense to me either, but I don't know. But that is
that's interesting.
Their diet. Yeah.
All right. So when's the last time you had one of these guys? When's the last time you ate some mahi? Do you have some mahi tacos?
I don't remember for sure the last time, but I know the one Alicia caught was, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years ago. We'll put a picture of that up on the.
Did you clean it yourself?
No. We paid our guides to do that at the docks, and then.
See, but this is something that we should point out: is you're a real frontiersman. Like when the zombie apocalypse comes, you'll survive and I won't. Like this is very clear. Oh, no. This is very clear. This is clear to everyone. Anyone who meets this for more than 3 minutes could pick this fact out. Because I wouldn't even know where to begin. I'd be like Tom Hanks in Castaway, where he's just ripping the fish apart because he doesn't know what he's doing.
Well, Tom Hanks made it.
He did make it. Make it.
He befriended a volleyball, and maybe that's all it takes is a good friend. Volleyball.
And you know that the FedEx package he returned at the end? Remember the whole story that they had the FedEx package and that's how he stayed alive? Yeah. There was a satellite phone in that thing. He could have used it just to get off at any point.
Well, maybe
I'm going to say it was his choice. So it was his choice.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good one.
Some personal growth during that.
He did. He really changed. And he got all cut up. He got all shredded too.
For sure.
All right, man. Good choice. Good choice for episode 3. And like you said, so Steve mentioned the Instagram. So anyone who's coming across us for the first time, don't forget to go to our Instagram, find some cool stuff on there. The Twitter box.
Yeah, if you want to get alerted to new episodes, that's probably the first place where you would get a notification. I mean,
that's how Steve learns that we have a new episode. So
yeah, it instantly goes to Twitter, and I'm amazed by it. I don't even know how it happens.
Is it a Twitter link back to Podbean? Is that what happens? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then email, if you have any ideas or thoughts or suggestions or tracks, definitely email us at birdbrag@gmail.com to give us some of that. Got some good feedback there.
Anything you want us to talk about, send it our way. We'd love to just do a custom episode for someone if we could.
A custom. You know what? I mean, this is pre-sponsorship of Miller Lite where they get to help craft some content for us too. But a custom, like that should be the finale of season 2.
A custom.
Oh no, we talked about the quiz, the lost facts being maybe the penultimate episode of season 2 could be a custom episode.
Yeah, they would. Would they have to fit it in with our theme?
I don't know. I don't even know how we're selecting it, but I think I'd be open to it.
Yeah, no doubt we're going to have to weed through a lot of submissions.
Yeah, I mean, but we'll have the research staff do that. Oh, hear that?
Can't get enough of that.
I mean, are we ever going to get enough of that?
No.
I mean, because it goes on for like 28 minutes, so we'll never get enough of that. Okay, so today that's our transition, people, into and stuff. And as you know, we're talking about birds and birdies. We're talking about nature, and our stuff this time around is golf. And I wanted to talk about a golf course that doesn't exist anymore, but I have a lot of fond memories from it. And if you could believe it, so when I grew up, there was a racetrack in San Mateo called Bay Meadows and horse racing. And my dad would go almost every Friday night, some Saturday nights, but he would go once a week at least to this racetrack. He loved betting on the ponies. We'll get into that. He grew up across from Hollywood Park in LA, and it just stayed with him. And he would take me and my brothers sometimes to go to the track, and my older brother would go all the time. But in the middle of this racetrack was a 9-hole golf course. And it was small, as you can imagine, because it's not, in a mile long, mile track that is fit in there. But it was a great executive course. And what I remember it being called was Bay Meadows Golf Course. It might have had a different name. I literally searched the internet for a half an hour to trying to find anything on it. It's just disappeared from the face of the earth. Not even in the Wikipedia. I should probably add to the Wikipedia.
You should.
Add some stuff to see, because it was a blast and 2 distinct memories. And so when you pulled up to play golf, you pulled up in a cool area by the parking lot, right by the grandstands that you normally would never park during, while the ponies were running. And you had to walk under the track through this tunnel with your golf clubs to get to the other side, to get to the pro shop to go off. And it was just a totally cool memory of walking through this tunnel. And we would play it all the time as a kid. My brother would take us. And my dad would go every once in a while, but I would go a lot with my older brother, or my mom would drop us off. And it was and since 4th of July is coming up, it was 4th of July, and I'm going to guess it's 1983. I think I was 12 years old. I was either 82 or 83, but I'm pretty sure I was 12 years old because I was playing golf with Mark Stogner, who was a year ahead of me, and he was on my baseball team, and I was on the Dodgers with him. And we were playing before the fireworks shows and went out there. And there was one par 4, all par 3s. And I'm sure a listener is going to correct me on this, but I think it was the 7th hole was a par 4. And I got my very first eagle on that hole. I was like 100 yards away, took a swing, and I saw it hit the green. And I just put my head down. I started putting my club away. And all of a sudden I got tackled from the side from my buddy Mark. And I was like, what is going on? And he goes, it went in the cup. And I was like, it was great. So then the other memory that's worth talking about is the day of my wedding, July 29th, 1995. Me and the groomsmen and my dad and a bunch of other people went out and played golf that morning before the wedding because it was easy. It was right there. We're all around there. It was quick, and we caught up. it was just one of those great memories of, and distinctly remember trying not to drink too much on the golf course before the wedding. Cause I think I got married at like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and then we partied until late that night. So it was a shame. I just read it closed. The track closed in 2008, which I thought it closed a lot earlier than that.
Yeah.
And it opened up in 1934. It was an old, and I didn't know this, it was an old Air Force base that was there. Who knew? But yeah, it was just one of those courses that I remember the smell. I remember the feeling walking under the tunnel, like the cool air going there. And I remember the horses weren't allowed to even practice while the golf course was open. So the course was open a very short part of time during the day. It wasn't open too early. It wasn't open too late.
So did it have any trees or?
It had like little palm. No, it was completely flat.
Okay.
The first hole was this tiny little par 3 that I'm going to north. It went straight north, and it was just this cool little funky. There's little mounds and stuff, but it was completely flat in the middle of this racetrack. And it's just, I don't even know if that even exists anymore. I mean, there's not many racetracks that even exist anymore. Yeah. They've all just kind of gone by the wayside. But to play, it was just kind of fun. I was just trying to think of different courses. I was so bummed that I was trying to find a scorecard or trying to remember the holes. I'm like, someone's had to post something from this, this thing.
Everything's on the internet.
You would think. I mean, that goes to show you, man, things just get lost. Yeah. Things go away and die and just aren't remembered. And so documenting that stuff is good. I mean, BirdBrag's going to go into, the Smithsonian soon, I'm assuming. So we'll have that to always remember ourselves by. As long as we pay our Podbean account, we can keep it forever. So maybe we pay it in perpetuity. Maybe we leave a endowment to BirdBrag. So it's just there.
I bet Montucky would like to do that, and that'd be part of their 8% they give back to local causes.
I mean, is it a race between Montucky and Miller Lite?
And Height.
Have we heard back from Height?
No, I haven't actually tweeted at Height yet. So
okay, maybe we do that.
I'm going to get a Height for a couple episodes from now, and then we'll get Height.
Maybe, maybe Montucky gets their own episode. Maybe there's something if Miller Lite doesn't come through.
Yeah. I
mean, there's got to be some great Wisconsin, either birds or nature that we could talk about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's where Aldo Leopold is from, who's like one of the fathers of ecology, and I think they got a good they're positioned very well to take advantage.
All right. So what did we learn today, Steve? We talked about the Dorado, the mahi, AKA the dolphin or the dolphin fish. So good names, not anything crazy.
A ton more names that.
Well, I'd imagine like there's some real regional names.
Yeah.
So maybe next time you do your research a little bit better, but we'll just say it right there.
That was the feeling on my part. I'm sorry.
40 to 106 Miller Lites, somewhere in between.
Obviously a baby is going to be less than one.
Yeah. But we're talking full grown.
Yeah.
From average to outstanding, it's a lot of Miller Lites.
Yeah.
That's a whole Palm Springs weekend, and they get around the world. They're 30% of the globe. You can find them in 30% of the oceans. Is that right? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? 50 miles an hour. That's pretty good.
It's not bad.
That's about as fast as my Toyota Tercel, my 1979 Toyota Tercel went.
Oh man, we had an 85 Toyota Tercel.
Oh, mine was a 3-speed. A 3-speed 2-door hatchback that had completely oxidized, so it was all silver.
So, oh my goodness. Nice.
Yeah, it was good. It was really interesting. I'll have to find a picture of it. It was, I drove that thing everywhere. Yeah. I think that thing had 179,000 miles when I retired that thing.
Yeah.
I got $100 for it in my trade-in to get my truck. 100. What an FU that is. Pre-Craigslist, pre-making it easy because you had to put in the paper and stuff. But these guys are a pretty sustainable choice for, if you can feel good about eating one of these guys.
I think so.
I mean, you're killing someone's, daughter or son or maybe
they had
father.
Millions of them probably,
but
thousands anyway. How important can one be if you have thousands of kids?
We learned they're a pelagic species.
I thought you didn't edit.
No, I never do. And then sargassum mats. We talked about. Yeah, that was cool. For anyone who's a broadcast spawner, okay by me.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, when these guys want to procreate, they don't mess around. 800,000 to 1 million eggs out there.
A few times a year. And you would think like that, no, not good eating caviar? No roe? I have been.
No mahi roe?
Yeah, I've never heard of that. So, maybe they could.
Maybe another way to farm. Just saying.
Yeah.
I sure love myself some caviar. And then schools, big schools, 50-ish, these guys.
When they're smaller. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then we talked about, the thing we talked about was a little Bay Meadows Golf Course in the Bay Meadows racetrack.
Yeah. So that's the one right there by Berkeley, right?
No. So that is Golden Gate Fields.
Oh,
so okay. Golden Gate Fields was there. This one is right off the 101 in San Mateo. So you crossed the Bay Bridge and went down.
Okay.
And I went to high school right next to there. Again, private, all boys school. You could figure out what that is in San Mateo. And there's a few high schools like right there. There's a big cluster of high schools. And it was pretty close to Hillsdale Mall for people who know that area. And it's a shame. It was a big footprint because not only did they have the racetrack, they had the practice track and the barns. So it was pretty prime real estate for Bay Area as tech is booming and Oracle's going crazy and housing's getting tighter. So it was only a matter of time that they just couldn't make no one makes enough money in horse racing anymore. Yeah, it was a throwback to my youth, that one of those things you don't know you're going to miss it till it's gone. So,
yeah.
All right, man. I think we did it.
Yeah.
I think we nailed it. I think this was a good one I know it was a good one. Yeah. Good job once again.
Good.
Didn't see it coming. You know what? Sometimes I just assumed we're talking birds.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it has been.
I mean, remember when we were flirting with the 50% ratio of birds to other critters?
Man, it's been eons since we started this thing. How do we think? Yeah. I mean, that was season 1. Thinking back, that we were different people. We were completely different people back then.
Yeah. We've really grown.
No, we're really honing the craft. The first episode's almost, unlistenable.
Yeah. I'm not going to listen.
We don't even know. Imagine, so cut to someone who's starting, and I'm going to start with season 1, episode 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I need to remix those things. I do. I feel sorry for that person too.
At least it's all the way down at the bottom of the list.
It depends, I guess, right? It should be, because the new ones should come up first on any good podcast stream. All right, man. Well, I really enjoyed it. Once again, really good. There's our music playing us out. See you, buddy.
Later.